Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wild Reawakening Full Moon in Aquarius Circle. We are so excited to have you here as we get together to align and flow and release with this beautiful full moon that is coming in. I'm Amy. I'm an intuitive energy coach and moon circle leader. And this is something that we love to get together to do to bring you all together as a collective to harness these energies and utilize them as we kind of grow and move towards our best path. So I wanted to joining me today, Kendall and Melissa. So Kendall, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kendall. I am with Wild Reawakening with Amy, as well as the Bohemian Tarot Girl. And I've created a deck called the Wandering Traveler Tarot. And I'm here to help educate people on accessing their intuition using tarot in order to do that. So I'm really excited about the full moon. I love the moon energy and being able to come together as a group and really work through it as a community. I'm going to throw it over to Melissa. Melissa, give a shout out to yourself.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Melissa. I am a life coach. I work with individuals with ADHD, helping them manage symptoms and goal development and health and wellness coaching as well. And for me, I just have been very blessed and excited to be a part of this moon circle twice a month. And I really enjoy being able to participate, and it helps me keep my spirituality going. So thank you.
Thank you. So before we get started, it's always good to kind of take some time to set our intentional space. And this just lets the universe and our higher selves and our spirit team know that we are getting ready to do some important work. So you can go ahead and do that any way that you like. You can use sound, bells. You can say a little mantra to yourself or a prayer. You can also light some sage or incense. I have my sage here. Go ahead and get this set. And just get some smoke going so that we can clear the area and just create a sacred space to work in. And then as we begin our moon circles, we have a little saying that we use to start, and that is sky above, earth below, peace within. And we'll say that a total of 3 times, and then peace within an additional 2 times for a total of 3 at the end. So if you're ready, you can join me in this. Sky above, earth below, peace within. Sky above, earth below, peace within. Sky above, earth below, peace within, peace within, peace within. Welcome, everybody. So this moon, full moon in Aquarius, is really a time when we can come together and we have these 2 opposing energies, as it always is with the full moon, because the moon and the sun are at complete opposite signs in the zodiac and also in the sky, which makes it an illumination. So we have the moon in Aquarius and the sun is in Leo right now. And those energies have a similarity, but they also have an opposition to them. Leo being a fire sign, Aquarius being an air sign. Leo is generally known as the sign that is involved with your self-expression and with your personal empowerment and how you show up in the world and as an individual. And then you also, on the other end of the spectrum, we have Aquarius, and Aquarius is more interested in forward movement and futurism and how we come together as a collective and expressing ourselves in the collective. And so when we have these energies that come together, we're really focusing on your own personal expression into the world. And so as we come together in circle, that is what we're going to be focusing on during our time here, is how we can own our authentic selves, how we can show up in our most high vibration and the gifts and things that we have to offer the world, and how we use that to create and embody like our artistic selves and our own expression and what that looks like and what that feels like for you. Of course, full moons are also a time where we typically will use that energy to release and give thanks for our own personal evolvement, and the things that have already come into our lives. But it's generally an energy from when the moon is full to when it wanes and becomes dark, that we're letting go and shedding parts of ourselves that are no longer in alignment, and parts of our life that are not meant to go on the journey forward as we become more. So, um, with that, we're going to take a look at the energies more in depth of what else is happening in the astrology and in the sky at this time. So I'm going to turn it over to Kendall. You're muted. Kendall.
It wasn't clicking off. I just was reminding everybody that typically Amy and I do a moon forecast video. And in that, we go into detail about what's going on in the charts and what we are seeing. And this month we didn't do it. Amy was moving houses. And so caught up in that work of, that great stress of moving everyone over. So, and looking at the energy of this chart, I really feel like we're going to hit those key pieces here. We have this full moon coming in on Tuesday, August 1st at 11:31 a.m. and that's Pacific Standard Time. And that is bringing us at 9 degrees of Aquarius. So make sure that you're looking at your chart, you're seeing where it's connecting to you. And really with this moon, the big focus is that square to Jupiter, right? And so Jupiter is just forming this square. It's only at 4 degrees. And with that, it's not a real strong, pull in that piece, but we have this energy that's very optimistic and it's bringing us this connection and good fortune to really this energy of creating a space where we can fully express ourselves in a way that we want to express ourselves. To me, this moon, when looking at the energy of Aquarius, is really all about self expression and finding the beauty and the grace that we want for ourselves versus what we have past to find ourselves. And I think that's what this energy is really asking us to do, is really step back and look at those pieces. We have the big players here are, I just want to point out in the chart, we have the sun up here in Leo, we have the moon down here, and you can see how they're complete opposites, as Amy was talking about earlier. And with the moon being in that Aquarius energy, that is all about our self-expression. We have Jupiter over here, and then we have our other two big players. We have Mercury right here, and then we have Mars right here. So as I walk through, a few of these pieces here, just consider where they're at in the chart. Make sure that you're checking out your chart as well and really focusing in on this. So we have this moon squaring with Jupiter at a little over 4 degrees, and it's bringing in this good energy for us as we're making the transition over and really bringing it in for the greater good of ourselves. It's also, Mars is in a strong trine with Jupiter, and that's adding to the energy, right? And that is just forming very, very little coming into this moon. And so it's really going to follow, that energy with us throughout growing. And that piece gives us really strong self esteem. And so really with that, with this blossoming into our new look on who we want to create and how we want to express ourselves, it's going to give us this energy of really knowing and being productive in our worlds, because we really feel like we've stepped into ourselves and are able to really express ourselves. The moon is in a weak conjunction with Pluto, and I bring this up because of some of the other bigger energies that we have going on right now. So we have the moon in a weak conjunction with Pluto, and it is fading. And this energy really brought in some maybe introspective looks into the world, into your personality, and it can lend to more of a moody feeling about life. And it's important to note because things are going on in the larger scheme of, and I'm going to stop sharing here while I talk about this. There's a larger pattern. We have Pluto currently in retrograde, and that is really looking at the forces that are outside of the world, outside of our world. And that's looking at that collective energy of what's going on. It's stuff that's coming up in our news. And so that can lend to this feeling of unease. And I actually had somebody reach out to me, and they were talking about all the things that was happening in the news, and they're not even spiritually, this is not really their thing. They're very analytical, and they were like, I feel so overwhelmed, and it comes out in this almost in anger, because they're starting to see some things in the news that just gives them that feeling of unease, and there's this fear. And they asked, how are you dealing with this? And I have, my personal feeling is that we are here to witness a lot of these things, and it's important to acknowledge things that are coming out, but not to really dwell in that anger piece of it or that fear piece of it. It's really important that we see and witness what's going on, and we're able to speak of it, and we realize the injustice that might be coming out. But it's okay to let go of that fear and anger that we have. And so just realize that there are these energies with Pluto, especially when we look at the media pieces here, that are coming out, and it's important not to let it affect our mood here. And the pieces, when we're working on this moon piece and the energy that's related to the moon, that's really about our self cycle and reflecting on ourself. Whereas some of these larger energies affect more of a collective energy, which can invade into our personal space and our personal growth. But we really have to step back and make sure that we are not letting this damper how we're making changes for our personal growth and our personal self. So just be aware of that. We also have Venus in retrograde, and that has a lot to do with you really focusing on the things that we love here in this life, and making sure that we're reviewing some of this old cycles. And so we're going to have some things realigning for our lives, and that one ends coming up in September, whereas Pluto goes all the way till January with the retrograde. And in general, we have a lot of planets coming retrograde that are going on right now. And we will have Mercury retrograding, let me find the date here, on August 23rd. So just be aware that things are in this pattern of coming up and reflecting for us, so that we can move forward in a new fashion. Do you want to add anything?
I just feel like this is really a moment, and especially around this moon, that you could be receiving some really significant downloads that are spiritual in nature and even maybe universal in nature. They're not going to be something that necessarily makes sense to you. So pay attention to the kind of what is coming in for you, because that could be significant in what you're going to create as you journey forward. There is some forward movement here that is happening at the beginning of the month, but as Kendall said, we're going to have several planets, actually 7 planets that are going retrograde, and will be retrograde for a period of time coming up at the end of this month. And, as she mentioned, retrograde planets, there is a purpose for them. And it's significant when so many are going retrograde at the same time, is that it's really a time to step back and reevaluate and reassess and go over and make sure that you're in alignment with the direction that you are going to be moving forward in once the planets start moving direct once again. So it's a really important, significant time to utilize in order to make sure that you are in a space that is working for you, that feels right for you, that is a direction that you want to be moving in. and that it's something that feels good to your soul, especially with this Venus retrograde. I think so much of this Venus retrograde right now is bringing up, um, well, for a lot of people, this has been coming up for people that I talk with and work with, is that it's bringing up a lot of old childhood woundings. And it's also having you look at them maybe from a more mature and evolved and um, healed perspective, so that you're not carrying that with you into what's next. And so this is just a really important and significant time to be gentle with yourself and to really pay attention to the information that's coming in for you. Um, but really, like, even though this is a full moon, and I love full moon energy and it's a good time to release, I think this is kind of falling in line with so many of the moons that we've had previously, where it's like they also have that, whether it's a full moon or a new moon, it's a process of creation and letting go at the same time. And I feel that so much with this one as well. So,
I
all
agree.
right. Did you have something?
Oh, no, sorry. I was just clearing my throat.
Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and do an oracle card reading. I'm going to turn that again over to Kendall so that she can do that for us.
All right. This is the Working Your Light Oracle deck. In case you want to look that up, the cards that I'm using, I am going to shuffle here, and I want you to go ahead and, while you're thinking, pick 1, 2, or 3, and I'm going to draw the cards out, and then I will let you know, and I'll go ahead and shuffle these again. Okay, card 1.
I guess this would be a good time to remind you that if you are joining us and you would like to follow along with the online journal, you can go to Wild Reawakening and download that every moon so that you have the ability to follow along with the circle. You can always revisit the circle, whether you watch it live or if it's recorded. And it's just really a good tool to kind of use for the journal prompts and the oracle card reading, so that you can revisit it later and see how things have transpired.
Yeah. No, the workbook is definitely a great place. We encourage you to record all of these pieces. This energy that we're following really comes up in cycles. And so it's important to be able to look back and see where you've come from, see what you've learned, see what patterns have arisen in your life, and really record that for yourself. So I'd highly encourage you doing that. And we make this workbook so you can easily record those pieces for yourself. All right, so everyone, go ahead and pick 1, 2, or 3. And I don't select one for myself because I don't want it to interfere with the cards that I'm pulling, because I'm asking for the collective. And so I don't select one, but Amy and Melissa do. And I always like to ask what they chose. The first one up is Starseed, and it's What Lights You Up. And I love that. I think that's perfect along the energy here. So really asking yourself what brings you joy in this life, and making sure that you're taking the time to think. And that's really the energy of the moon, is asking us to take that moment and really think about what we want ourselves to reflect, right? And what we want to bring out in this world. Card 2 is Warrior Woman, and it's asking you, have you answered your deepest calling? And with this energy, it's really asking you to reflect and look back and see if you're really standing on that path that you want to be on, because you're being called with the spirit of this warrior to really move forward. And there is an importance in you accepting and walking along the path that you are on. So just be aware of that. And we'll go ahead and post the full card messages in Facebook if you want to go there and look at it at Wild Reawakening. And then the third card here is protection, and it's about calling back your powers, cutting cutting cords and soul revival. So sorry here. This message is really all about you taking back your power, really making sure that anything that you want left is left in the past. Amy mentioned, and we were talking about that Venus retrograde energy. And that's very much about looking at these past cycles that have come up, especially in regards to ourselves and the love that we have and how we want to reflect it into this world. So it's really important that we go through spiritually and we make sure that we're clearing some of these pieces in order for us to really move forward with our life. And I think that's the message here with this card, is really making sure that we are honoring the power that we have in ourselves. We're honoring that energy and the connection that we have. And we're not letting other people's or past experiences really taint how we want to move forward and how we want to present ourselves and live our lives. It's really about you just stepping into your soul's path and who you want to be, with no fear of, past things that have happened with your life. So which cards did you guys choose?
Yes, I can go first.
In here.
I chose number 2. And for me, that's been showing up a lot lately. I've been doing a lot of work on releasing some things that have been holding me back, or imposter syndrome type stuff, because my personal like career path and my mission for being here is kind of like coming together, and I've been in this evolution process for the last year and a half. So one of the things that someone asked, one of my teachers asked me, because we always, no matter what level we're at, we always have a teacher. And so was, what is your why? And a lot of times people will say things like, well, I want to be financially independent, or I want to help people, or I want to. And when I really started thinking about my why, what came up for me was that for me, it's just that there's no other option. And what I mean by that is that I knew from a young age that I would be doing healing work, and I didn't necessarily know what that looked like. But when I think about it, it's the work that I'm moving into and the stuff that I'm doing is something that I feel I agreed upon before I even came here. And so there's no other option for me except to do this and to step up and become this person and this warrior woman, as you said. And that takes, when I think about it, that's like a great responsibility, but it's also, I would be doing a disservice not only to myself and my soul mission and calling, but also to anybody else who has been contracted to me to have me as a teacher or a guide. So I'm figuring that out. And there's a part of it that really scares me, but there's also a part of it that feels like it's so meant, and that I've been in boot camp essentially my entire life, having all of these experiences and moments of learning and leveling up so that I can get ready to step into this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about you, Melissa?
I picked card number 3.
Ooh.
And I think that was protection.
Mm-hmm.
And you had mentioned release as well, and cycles. And as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm in chaos. Yeah, that's the word. So for me, what I have going on right now, and I think for a while upcoming, will be kind of chaos in my job. Personally, a little bit, but not too much. But it's just such a busy time of year for me with my job. And then with some of the changes that are occurring, it's uncharted territory at the same time. That is also adding to the chaos. So it was like, okay, so what do I need to release, or what patterns do I want to do differently? And for me, in these typical situations, I would ask a lot of people, what do you think of this? Or what do you think of that? Or people are very forthcoming with their suggestions on how I should handle situation. And then I kind of internalize and get really which way to go. So I think it's really just trusting my intuition. I know what to do. I know how to move forward with it. And I know I'll find the energy to move forward with it as well. And wanting to do it with my own sense of grace and compassion with all the changes occurring, how to do it. And that's where I was thinking of that. So that protection is the protection of putting a shield around others' thoughts in some ways, and believing in myself moving forward with how I want to clear the chaos away, which it will eventually, and it'll get there. But it's a matter of keeping the mind clear through the process.
I like that reminder. We have a tendency, and I do it too. So I'm not excluding myself from this when I say that, but we have a tendency to want to solve other people's problems. And a lot of times people come to us and they just want to be heard. And so taking, realizing that sometimes people present something to us because they just need to talk and be heard, and that's okay. And they're not asking us to solve the problems. So I like that message.
That can be hard sometimes, so
It really,
but you're right. Yeah.
oh no, totally. Just remember that these cards can be read as a collective message. So if you felt one resonated, even though you chose one, there was another card that resonated with you. Please go ahead and look at that message, and you can read them all together. And remember that I do a tarot reading for this moon energy as well. So if you want to dive deeper into some of the things that come up during the tarot reading, that'll be on a separate video. So now it's time for Amy.
Yes. So one of the things that has been so useful as a tool throughout my journey and in circles that I have led has been doing a guided meditation. And when you're accessing that part of your subconscious, you're also tapping into higher realms, and you're receiving information that you may not be able to get while you're in a conscious state. So I just want to invite you to go ahead and find a comfortable space and settle in, and go ahead and get ready to take a little bit of an inward journey here. All right, and go ahead and close your eyes. And take a deep breath in through your nose and let it out through your mouth with a sigh. Another deep breath in, and go ahead and let it out. And as you're doing this, you feel your body begin to relax. Deep breath in, and let it out with a sigh. As you feel the weight of your body as it's settled into whatever your position you're in. Feel the position of your hands in your lap or by your sides. And allow the natural pull of gravity to help you to relax and let go. Deep breath in, let it out. And as you inhale and exhale, relax your face and jaw. Allow your muscles to relax and let go of whatever you are holding on to. Put your worries and to-do lists aside for now. Just for now, be in the moment and trust in the light and powerful energy of this full moon. And at this time, you can lightly scan through your body from the top of your head all the way down through your toes. And just notice any places of tension that you may have. Simply allow them to be there and observe as you continue to breathe calmly. Now, imagine a powerful white and silver light beaming down from above the crown of your head. This light has a pure, calm, and loving energy that soaks through your entire being, filling you with light. Now bring to mind that which you no longer want in your life. All of the things you wish to release that no longer serve you. And allow them to linger for a moment in your mind's eye. If you like, you can visualize them as a color or an object or a feeling. See them floating in front of you. Now bring to mind that which you no longer want in your life. The things you wish to release that do not serve you. See them floating in front of you and say out loud or in your mind, I release you under the light of this sacred and magical full moon. I no longer need what does not serve or empower me. And now bring to mind that which you no longer want in your life. The things you wish to release that do not serve you. Allow them to linger for a moment in your mind's eye. And if you like, you can visualize them as a color or an object, or feel them as a feeling. And you see them floating in front of you. And as you see them, you can say in your mind, I release this unworthiness. I release this doubt. I release this fear and anger. I release resentment. I release judgment. I release envy and comparisons. I release relationships that do not serve me. I release toxic people and situations. I release anything that does not allow me to show up in my highest and best vibration. And as you say this, imagine each of the things, habits, people, behaviors, or thought patterns that you wish to release, disappearing in the full and powerful light of this moon. See them dissolve, consumed, floating away into the infinite light of pure goodness. And you may take as long as you need to do this. Just visualize each thing as it is released from your life and consumed by the burning, powerful light of the silvery moon and its deep cleansing abilities. Feel the weight of each burden released. Feel light as a feather as you relax and let go. And you may repeat to yourself this mantra. Under the light of this beautiful, powerful, and healing moon, I release you from my life with love. I forgive you, and I forgive myself for past mistakes. Thank you for the lessons, and now I release you. Feel yourself lifted and renewed as the toxic weight of all you have released disappears. Now, focus your mind towards a feeling of gratitude. Feel deep appreciation for all that you have and all that is yet to come into your life. You may set your intentions now for the month to come. Say to yourself, I welcome all that is now coming to me for my highest good. I look forward to the clarity, peace, love, abundance, and positivity that are heading my way. I give thanks for the blessings I receive and rejoice in their wonder. And now remain here, breathing comfortably and basking in the glow of knowing your intentions will be made manifest. Feel them now as if they are already present in your life. Stay here as long as you need in the sensation of gratitude and appreciation. And when you are ready, feel yourself return to your body. Feel the light traveling from your crown all the way through your toes and connecting with the earth and grounding yourself. And begin to wiggle your toes and stretch your body. And when you are ready, open your eyes. All right, everyone, welcome back. When you have a moment after you finish watching this recording, or if you are watching, well, if you're watching us live, you can take some time to go ahead and put down some thoughts of what you were releasing and what intentions you were calling in during the meditation. If you're watching this as a recording, you can go ahead and pause and do that now if you would like, and then come back. So, all right.
All right. Shall we move on to the journal questions? All right.
Absolutely.
Just a reminder that all of the journal questions are available on our workbook that we provide for free. You do have to sign up to receive that piece, so just know that. And we walk through them as a group, because typically when we're in circle together, we're able to share our experiences and what connects with us. And it allows us to be able to look at our own lives and add some context in what we need to reflect on. And so we sit here during this time and we read through these journal questions, and share our thoughts in order to help you really see some pieces potentially in your life. So that's why we do this piece, and we find it very important. When we do circles online, that is the connection piece with others, and being able to hear their stories and responses is something that we miss out on. So that's what we're here to do. I'm going to start us off with the first question here. And what does expression mean in your life? And I would like you to think about your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors and how that reflects to expression. You want to go first, Melissa?
Sure.
I'll go first.
Expression in my life, what it means is it takes several forms. At the very basic level, it's releasing anything internal I need to get out that I could be holding on to, even if it's, a scream into a pillow or, something like that, that expressive piece. But mostly expression is how it's something that in many ways I've struggled with because I've been very not self-confident, self-conscious about how I express myself for so long. Concerns about if I do this or express it that way, it might be judged in some way. So for me, it's been a lot about how to become comfortable with my own self-expression, which also means now from, I think, suppressing it for so long, being able to identify what is that for me. I used to always just see expression as this artistic method that people had through voice, song, or drawing, all things that for me I do not do particularly well with. Therefore, now I'm seeing it in more individualistic terms. And it was something we were talking about earlier, but expression can be, how am I dressing? What am I choosing to wear today can be a sign of my self-expression, which can really be reflective of my mood. Or if I'm not in the best of moods or down, I will purposely pick something brighter and cheerier too, and I know that's going to have a positive impact on myself with it. So it's ways like that. It's how can I get the internal external?
Mhm. I like that. Yeah, to me, I think a lot about the armor that we put forth into this world. And you can look at it as, is it an armor that I created to support my body in self expression, or is it an armor that I clad myself in because it protects me against other people's judgment of myself? You know what I mean? Like, it prevents people from really seeing and me living in my truth of myself. And you can think about that in aligns with our clothing has a tendency, when we think about expressing ourselves individually, comes up. Um, and really, we have a tendency, you think about when you go into a job, you dress a certain way, there's expectations that the world has of you. Um, and that doesn't really relate to the person that you want to project and be. That is somebody else's view of what you should be. And so really breaking those down for myself is something that I think during this time, this moon time, is going to be very important to my growth, because we need to really step back and look at, like myself, I need to look at what is really truly bringing me joy and what is not really bringing me joy, and what I have chosen to align myself with because it helps me connect with other people, or other people expect certain things of me, or I've aligned myself with a certain place in this world because there is, it's not really my view of myself, it's other people's view of myself. So I think that's what really connects with me for this moon, is really taking a step back and looking at those pieces and making sure that it's really what I want. I'm expressing myself how I want to express myself, and not worrying about the judgment or what culturally it looks like to other people. So
Mhm. It's interesting that a lot of it is coming up with judgment. When I was thinking about this question, I started thinking about like how we kind of decide how we're going to express ourselves externally. And for me, a lot of the things that started coming up were things that I was told as to what was acceptable to be as a child. And especially like I grew up in a really religious family, and I had a lot of expectations of like, you should be like this and you should be like that, and this is how you should look, and you should um be a nice girl and be agreeable and have polite manners. And I think that I had such expectations placed on me from a young age as to how I was supposed to be, that I created this idea that I had to show up in a perfect way in order to be okay, or to be considered good or valued. And I also, along those lines, like if you were outspoken, or if you had an opinion, or you had strong emotions about something, that was not considered a good way to be either. And so I think that in my younger years, just kind of internalized a lot of who I was and what I was passionate about, and my own self expression, because it wasn't in line with what others told me I should be like. And so thinking about this question, it's like, I I mean, I'm generally like an introvert, so I tend to be more myself around a certain group of people. Now that and I would do a lot of writing. Writing was definitely like a good form of expression for me, whether I was writing for myself, or which mostly I write for myself, but I've gotten better about like putting it out for other people to read, um, just to kind of get an idea of what's going on in my internal process. um, but as I move forward into this next phase of my life, I'm finding it more and more important to allow myself to be more genuine and vulnerable and authentic in how I relate to the rest of the world. Um, so working on that piece, but it does take I think, a lot of deconditioning from what you believed you were supposed to be, or how you were supposed to show up.
I completely agree. Question 2 here is, what do you want to release in regards to your expression, and where might you have been aligning with how others see and express um, themselves in respect to you?
That's a complex question.
It really is a complex question. I'm sorry.
There's a lot of layers to that one. um, I'll go first this time.
Do it.
Repeat it one more time, just so I have it. Like,
Um, let's focus on the releasing part. As far as, what do you need to release in order to really give yourself space to define um, your new form of expression?
hmm, okay. For me, I mean, I've been doing it for a while, but as I said before, it was like this expectation of showing up perfectly. Um, and then minimizing myself if I didn't feel like I could show up in this perfect representation, or how I wanted to be perceived. That's a big part of it. The other one that, I mean, I think I mentioned earlier, working a lot on this expectation, like this imposter syndrome piece of feeling like I'm not as good as somebody else who may be doing something similar, or I don't have enough knowledge or skills, or I don't, like, wear the nicest clothes. I mean, you guys have seen me, I'm in black all the time. Um, so I think a lot of it is like comparison and this expectation of being perfect.
Mine's definitely, when I think about releasing, it's the fear and judgment. And it's not myself. It's, you know what I mean? It is the fear and judgment of others on me. And I really don't think even I put a lot of, I think I feel a lot of, I give it a lot more power than it's needed, because I don't think people often spend a lot of time walking around worrying about what I'm wearing or, my self expression, because they have their own thing going on in their life. But I give it power. I have fear and I give it power because I'm worried about other people's judgment of me. And now I have even recently, I would say in this last 6 months, I've done a lot of work in really looking at people judging me in my life and what the fears I have inside of myself in relation to that, and really letting that go. And it's interesting with this moon, because this moon really triggered this deep dive thought into myself about why, this is like almost my last little piece that I feel like I need to break through in this part, is really this self expression and just being able to put whatever I feel needs to be put out there into the world and living in my true self. And that comes a lot with, the clothing that we wear, how we speak and think and project our thoughts into the world, and just being truly authentic. And I really think, even the forms of being able to share what I like as far as art, those sorts of things, that we define ourselves. So I think it's very important. I feel like it is, with this, I mentioned like it's armor that we put on ourselves, and it's not necessarily the armor that our soul needs. And so it's important that we release and let those pieces of armor fall away, and that we really bring in the pieces that are needed for us in order to bring ourselves into that closer alignment with where we want to go. So just releasing that fear and judgment for me.
I just agree with both of you, Kendall and Amy. I'm thinking, and it's really the same. What I find I do a lot about myself, and I think you mentioned, Amy, is I really minimize myself. I'll notice I minimize my accomplishments. I did it just yesterday. Actually, an example is I was elected as co-director of this committee. And when I saw the team members the other day, and I honestly believed it too, I said, oh, I was the only person who wanted the position, right? And that's where I go with things like that. And they're like, no, Melissa, there was actually a few other people and the board voted. Or if someone compliments me on something, I make a joke out of it, and minimizing that way. And for me, where I want to focus is not doing that all, now owning it and accepting it, and that's okay. That's part of my new story that I want to have moving forward, is that self-confidence and not that imposter syndrome that is so easy to fall into. I use it maybe even as protection to not move forward sometimes, and to put that away and allow myself to take the risk, and not allow that to be the narrative anymore for myself, to have the confidence to believe in myself, because I know I'm putting the work into it. So it's not just blindly moving forward with it, but really recognizing where I'm putting the work on that, and not second guessing myself with my decisions either. That can be a big one also. If it's the wrong choice, it's the wrong choice. Well, I'll find out, and the consequences will be there, and I'll move forward. I will have learned to move forward. And that's my message with people I'm working with. So I want to give myself the same message.
Well, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I'm like, what?
Oh, congratulations.
So thanks.
Celebrate Melissa.
Thanks.
I think that's a good reminder though. That
Um,
have a tendency to really minimize our success that we have in life.
And I think it comes in two different forms too. Is it because you don't think you're deserving, or is it that you feel like you have to be humble about how you think and how you project? Like we aren't, especially as women, we were never allowed to like brag or like be boastful or, you know, express like our greatness. And so there's like also that element of like, well, I don't want to talk like I'm so great or that I'm really good at this, or and I think that that really like takes away a lot of our from our gifts and what we have to offer, is because we're too scared to let people know like, look, I'm really good at doing this thing. I can show up in this way and I have this ability. Like we don't want to talk about ourselves.
That's so true. And it's, there's a way to go about it without being boastful, but you can acknowledge, right? Acknowledge what we've done
Mhm.
and honor that.
Mhm. But I mean, just to say, like, I don't want to make this about men or women because we do have both. But if a male were doing that same thing of talking about like how good he was at his job, or I mean, like for example, I'm going to bring my brother into this because I'm proud of him, but it also is like just a way that I would have never acknowledged an achievement. My brother just won best chiropractor in San Diego for the second year in a row. And in order to accept this award, he had a custom superhero cape made because he goes by Dr. Awesome, that like lit up and this, and he was dancing around and taking pictures with people and like owning that, you know, owning his win and his accomplishment and how great he is. And there's no way that I would feel comfortable going up and like jumping around and letting people know how great I think I am. You know? And that's, I think, just a difference in like the way that society has let us make or allowed men to own their accomplishments, while at the same time women have had to, you know, historically been a little more reserved and meek and minimize, you know, their greatness.
Absolutely. Mhm.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm super proud of him. He, you know, he did this all on his own, and I'm, you know, it's wonderful. But like, that is just such a display for me of look how great I am.
All right. Question 3. What has been coming up in regards to your clothing, expression, art, and anything else that sparks joy into your life? So, have you seen any of this really come, however you would define expression in your life, come to the forefront in your life right now?
I think for me, it's just I've really been trying to live my life more in alignment with what feels good to me, and that has meant a lot of shedding of a lot of things that I had been doing that were more obligations or things like that. And so like I people always say, well, you always live in really interesting places. But for me, it's like I want to live in a place that I love living in and that feels really good, whether that's my home or the city that I live in. And so I've always kind of gravitated towards these really like vibrant spaces that are a little out of the norm. Like you wouldn't find me living in suburbia in a little cookie cutter house. I did do that once, but it's really like not anything that makes me feel joyful. I want to feel a little eccentric in my environment, and I want to wake up every day and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this is where I get to live. And I was talking to my daughter about this. Um, but I was like, if I have the choice to live anywhere, why would I choose something so ordinary when I can live someplace that just feels so alive?
I like that. For me, I think the things that have come up lately are definitely my clothing. Uh, Melissa knows I have been on this adventure of learning about, the resonance of clothing and grounding with being out in the earth, and just how our clothing really affects our physical body here. And it was interesting before I really even like dived into this energy. I've been going through my closet and looking at my clothes and going, I have a lot of clothes because I'm a Libra. And a lot of things that I've kept in my wardrobe, I keep in my wardrobe because they're pieces that, you know, society has told me are good looking, they're good in this situation, wear them, that sort of thing. And I don't really think about them in context to how they make me feel. Um, both in the type of clothing that I'm wearing, but also in the way they present themselves. And so just going through and looking through the clothing that I wear, and I keep a lot of clothing and it's just taking up space in my life that I never touch or wear. Right. And they're there just in case I need to get out this suit and wear it for something special. And really, I don't need to carry that baggage around. I don't need to carry other people's judgment of my clothing and making sure I have the perfect outfit to wear during certain situations. And so I've just been going through and really looking at how they make me feel. Are they good for my body? And if they're not, then I need to let that go. And so that's the purging I have been doing lately, is definitely around the clothing that I wear, um, and making sure it makes me feel good, to myself, which is very connected to, I think, your home that you live in. So, how about you,
Very
Melissa?
similar for me as well, but more with shoes lately. A little bit with the clothing, with the purging, I have a tendency to get a few items that I really enjoy, but I feel like on weekends I don't, if I don't have to leave the house, I'm very happy. So it doesn't, I go for comfort. And even if it has a little hole in it or something like that, or how, I've been in this phase of how long can I wear this item till it's completely in shreds? I mean, I don't know what happened because I, that's not like me, right? So I am was a teenager in the 80s, and I'm like that poster child of, bright, vibrant colors, day glow all over, and the huge shoulder pads and spiked heels. And now I'm Kendall knows, I'm like flip-flops and muted colors as if I'm invisible. I don't know what happened. So I'm getting back to who I think I was at the core of enjoying aesthetically, pleasant looking. So even for my weekend wear, I'm getting better at feeling good about myself with what I'm putting on, even in comfort. And then what happened was, I think I really got into running a couple of years ago, extensive running, to where for me, I couldn't wear heels because then I couldn't run the next day. So I just had all these flats, and I don't, past couple months, I'm like, again, if going out to dinner or going out with friends, I'm just like, I have nothing that excites me anymore to put on. And I'm tired of that. So I went, and they're not the best, I got like a pair of sparkly shoes. I guess the best example, they're slip-ons, and they're brighter than what I thought they would be with the rhinestones. I took them out of the box, I got them online. I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, what? And so I'm wearing them, and I feel good when I look down at them. I'm like, I like that. And I think it's making me just feel like I'm putting more intention and effort into my appearance. Whereas for the longest time, if it wasn't jersey, I didn't want to put it on.
Mhm.
And, which if I'm not, that could look good as well. Also, it's not, it's a matter of just, it's interesting when I am explaining how I used to dress was when I was the most self-conscious at that time in my life where I was afraid to even speak to somebody, but yet my clothing, demonstrated something else. And as I became more confident in myself, I started dressing as if I were invisible, is how I view it. And that was another thing that's been coming to mind really over the past few months. I'm like, when I look at my wardrobe or what I'm wearing, I'm one of those invisible people. Not that I need to stand out so much, but I don't need to be invisible either. That's not expressing who I am. So working on that. And I am very much interested in what Kendall was saying, was how different fabrics have different vibrations, and wanting to be more intentional with getting some of that next.
Yes. Oh, that's very insightful, Melissa, what you just said. Thank you for sharing that. How do you imagine expression changing in your life moving forward?
For me, I think it's what I just was sharing about, really. I think maybe I combined many of those questions into one there, but I, that, and also something that was mentioned earlier was authenticity, being much more authentic with my expression. Something that I value. And I think that when we are authentic with it, it just brings a peace of mind and just growth organically through our authenticity. And it's very grounding at the same time for me. So I just want to be more aware, right? See more aware of how or ways, I'm also journaling now, and that's a way of expression for myself. And able to organize my thoughts in that sense, and just physically what it's going to look like for me.
I like that. For me, as far as moving forward, I think checking in on myself when I look at things that I would define as an expression of myself. I have a tendency to overlook that piece, when we're thinking about it. And it really took, when I was looking into this energy and thinking about the questions that would come up with it, that really like triggered this, oh, you need to step back and look at this piece. This is important. It's what you get to share. It's part of you that gets to be shared with the world. And it's a part of you, and it brings you joy. And it shouldn't be really dulled down to make it more palatable for other people. You should be living in your truth, both in your thoughts as well as in your physical being. And so just taking time. And I think, when you look at selecting, clothes is just what we've been talking about. It doesn't have to be clothes. It could be pieces of art. It could be, your home or where you live, all those things, however you define that for yourself. But really taking a moment when I pick a piece and ask myself why I like it, why I would want to wear it. I'm really taking that space for that.
I think for me, like, as far as expressing myself, I think what I've really been working on and what I want to bring more forward is being able to express my emotions better, or my thoughts and opinions, and allow for more vulnerability. Because I don't feel like I've necessarily had a lot of space in my life for that lately, or felt that it was important to other people. But I've found that the more that I kind of let my guard down and let my walls down a little bit and show more of who I really am at the core, it has more, not even just being genuine, but I think it's more relatable than this image that I thought that I had to portray in my younger years of having my shit together. Because I mean, my closest friends and other people, like, I may seem like I have everything figured out and how my life looks, amazing on paper, but the reality is that I'm very much human, and I'm very much like, have gone through a lot of things that I've not allowed other people to see, because I didn't want to appear, I don't want to say weak. That's not necessarily the word I'm looking for, but I didn't want to appear vulnerable. For me, that felt really uncomfortable, to a place to sit in. And I think that so many of us need other people who are comfortable being vulnerable and open and forthright and saying what's on their mind and expressing their emotions. And the more that we have people who are stepping into that space, the easier it becomes for other people to not only have others to relate to, but also to have a space where they can embrace their own vulnerability.
Like that. It's a good reminder.
Lots of questions. These questions were hard.
I know. Sorry, I got a little deep.
Lots to think about.
Totally lots to think about. Which is kind of nice in the space as far as like the energy that we have right now. I feel like it's come up during a great time where it's giving us some good positive energy during this cycle to be able to do this and release this piece, this energy with this, and really align ourselves as we're coming into this end of the Venus retrograde here. So we're on that, we're really connecting all the dots with where we want to move forward, which is what I like. And then, of course, then it's going to we're going to see a larger shift with the Pluto that's coming up. As far as the activity that I was thinking with this, it is pretty simple. When I'm thinking about the Aquarius energy of the moon and our thoughts in it, I really want to have you take this time, after you've done this journal questions, if you're looking to participate in the activity, and I'm looking for you to really take your thoughts and put it in a physical way. So put it in a physical release of something. And then if you can do, you think about purging your clothes might be a physical way to do that. Melissa, is looking to move into a way of acceptance and celebration of her success. And so what is the release of that in a physical form, and then what is a way to celebrate that in a physical form? So Melissa might post on Facebook that she got this job. Not that you have to do that, Melissa, I'm just example. Or you share it in a group with others. And so just, I want you to take what you are really, what you really saw come through, pick one thing and really focus in on that stood out to you, and do something physical to release it. And then do something physical after you release it to really emphasize the new person that you want to step into, that new way that you want to express yourself in the world. And those are the pieces that I want you to carry through, this with this moon energy, is really take that time to physically make that manifestation happen, as well as that physical release happen with this energy. Don't just leave it in that thought, within your head. That's always good work to be done, but I want some sort of physical movement for you guys. So that is the activity for this moon. It probably requires you to do a lot of thinking, but hopefully it'll be an easy physical, way to show that you're making a change in it with this moon energy.
All right, everyone. So this concludes like our time in circle. I just wanted to thank you all for being here and remind you that during this moon, we're working with these two energies of the sun and Leo being, about the self. And then we have the moon in Aquarius with just highlighting the forward movement of the collective and community. And one of the major themes when I think about this moon, besides everything that we've talked about, is that it is so important that you're maintaining your own light and that you're harnessing your own gifts and that you are showing up in the world in your most empowered, most authentic, most enlightened way, so that so that you can benefit the collective in that form. I think a lot of times people will focus more on making sure that the collective is moving in a good way, and that's a lot of responsibility on yourself. You can't hold yourself accountable for what the collective does, but when you start holding yourself accountable for how you show up in your environment and in your life, and really make a conscious effort to move forward in your life in the best vibration of yourself, that radiates out into the collective, and that's ultimately what is going to make a difference as we move forward into future timelines. So I just want to thank you all for being here, and we'll go ahead and close out the circle now with how we started. So if you would like to join me, we'll do the sky above, earth below, peace within one more time. Sky above, earth below, peace within. Sky above, earth below, peace within. Sky above, earth below, peace within, peace within, peace within. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Make sure that you go ahead and download the workbook. The links are in down below in the description. It's also on Facebook. And make sure to follow us at Wild Reawakening. We will see you for the next moon. Bye, everyone.